do apologize. We did have some technical difficulties during our first attempt at the show with Chase Harrell. For those of you who had saw it, I appreciate you sticking with us. But we're gonna keep trucking along here, and as we got to figure it out. So thank you for that. Thank you for your patience. Like I said, just want to reiterate, I have a former Harlingen South thrower and now University of Houston thrower, Chase Harrell, talking to me a little bit about it. He was just kind of talking about becoming acclimated with the university, Chase. So just take it away. I know you left off. You said you went to go scope it out before your first day of classes. I know it's a bit of an adventure. Just how did that go for you?
Really well. Thankfully, my roommates were also my teammates. It was a 4 bedroom, so all three of them were on the team. All three were also throwers with me. We took that entire day to just memorize the campus. We knew that was the only way to do it. There's no easy way out. You just gotta go and get it done with. That's about it.
So overall, what's the campus life like, man? I know it's a big enough campus. You know that there's a lot of amenities on campus. There's a lot of things that you can do, and then you're right in the thick of it in the city as well. Just being acclimated, figuring it all out. Just finding your niche there. Just how did you kind of take to the city and the university atmosphere?
I really liked it. It's kind of a between whenever people say city boy and countryman, that kind of thing. I took to the city really well. We liked exploring it, going out to eat sometimes. As far as the campus goes, it has a really, really wide diversity. And there's so many things that do there. Like we have an underground place with like a Starbucks called the Satellite. We have so many like cafes, stuff like that, restaurants just sitting around. Um, it's large. It's really large.
Yeah. You talked about you said you're part city boy, kind of country boy, as we can tell. Like, um, in the back you see the mountain head there for you. That's pretty cool. But I think Houston's probably the perfect place for a person like you, man. I mean, there's kind of a I feel that it's kind of that kind of feel. Rodeos and stuff like every year go through there, like they do all in Texas. I mean, did you kind of find that way like there for you as well? Keep you comfortable. Kind of what you're used to a little bit.
Yeah, every once in a while you can throw on some jeans and go out. People won't look at you weird, but city is it's just really they understand you.
Mhm. Yeah. No, it's a very welcoming city. I have family there. I lived there for a few months, but yeah, let's get back to the track side of things, man. Talk me through your first meet and everything. How did you just what's the difference? I know it's they're bigger, they're on a larger scale. How did you kind of prepare for that and the whole scene of it all? Just how did you like it? What was different for you? What was one of the biggest changes, things you had to deal with?
Well, the first thing is I was a red shirt my freshman year,
Oh, okay,
so I
okay,
didn't meet in any meets. But the largest thing is definitely the weight going up from high school to
okay.
college. The shot goes from 12 to 16. In other countries, sometimes you'll throw a 13. Um, so 13 to 16. The disc is a 1.6K to a 2. In other countries, it'll be a 1.7 ish, 1.75 to the 2K. So the weight is definitely the largest jump. And as far as the meets go, they're much larger, more competitive. Um, I kind of worked them every once
Hmm.
in a while. So yeah, I got to see my teammates go through it, and it is definitely different.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting. Okay, so you did red shirt and all that. So just you talk about the weight. So you never, I mean, high school, of course, you practice a certain weight consistently. So did you have any kind of experience as far as with some of that weight throwing? I mean, did you ever mess around with it in high school a little bit? I mean, have you ever thrown it at all? I mean,
Oh
was it
yes, of
really
course.
boring?
In high school, I started throwing the college ball a little bit senior year, then going into the summer. But yeah, I've been training with a 16-pound ball, 2K disc, um, hammer weight for indoor as well, the 35-pound, and then the hammer is just the same as the shot. But yeah, they're much different, much heavier, and because it's heavier, you got to change some technique a little bit. So that's where I'm kind of in between, finding the right balance.
Yeah. So, and talk to me about the hammer throw there that you before. I know in high school that it's not in the events, but when you go to college, that everybody knows that they're going to be expected to throw the hammer throw or at least mess around with it. Just how was that? Was it different? And again, kind of the same question. Have you ever had any experience with it? I assume you did. I mean, if you were going to train to go into college, just what's that like? And just kind of explain to everybody out there, maybe may not know about it or I've never had too much experience with it.
So I've watched a lot of professionals and Olympics. I did practice with it. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not jumping to that college ball right now. But yeah, in the state of Texas for high school, sadly, hammer isn't there. But weight throw is kind of the one that I adopted to quickly. I liked weight more than hammer, even though you're technically supposed to start turning with hammer instead of weight, but I started with weight. I just like that it's shorter, it's closer to you. It might be heavier, but it's fun to throw.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine like it's closer than what you're used to with the hammer. I mean, it just feels like it's just a whole like different type of setup, a whole different type of
Mm-hmm.
just. I mean, I'm losing the word here, but just kind of technique around. I mean, you said it's closer. The hammer throw. It's more of like a swing. I mean, it's just yet. I would imagine it's kind of uncomfortable trying to get used to it at first if you're not really used to it.
It is. Being uncomfortable is one large part, but in order to get it done, you're not really, you know, getting paid to be comfortable or something like that. You just got to get it done. Uh, it is a lot more technical because with the weight, if you have a lot of strength and not as much technique, you can still chunk it out there, win a meet.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. All right, man. Well, glad to hear that you're doing well there. You redshirted, so looking forward to more from you and everything. But let's talk about what you did at South. I know you had a really big senior year. You didn't do football, but you went into track, and you throwers had a huge year that last season that you were there. Um, you guys helped South compete at the district meet. And I think you shared the district title. The throwers were really integral part of that championship season. I know this past year it got cut short, but the year before you guys were out there throwing. You guys had racked up a lot of points. You had a really solid team behind you. Just talk a little bit about that year. What made it so special for you and all the rest of the throwers?
The fact that they were teammates that I've been with for so long, Ben Ruiz, Andrew Rott, me, Christian Cortez, all four of us, we were the squad. And the years before us, Sky Tatum, who went to UTRGV, Abel Villarreal, who went to Kansas but is now here. They kind of set it in stone that hey, South is the throwing squad. We're the ones that you don't mess with. We're kind of known for getting a lot of points in the field events, but as far as teammates go, we were just able to push each other, no matter if it was outside training or in the weight room. I was in between. I personally believe that I gained more knowledge in the weight room from Andrew Rott, for example. And whenever it came to technicality, I gained more experience from Ben Ruiz. They all had their better sides, and I believe they really pushed me.
Yeah, that was a really close knit group. And you talk about talent, you guys had it in droves. You talk about somebody like Andrew, he actually made the state meet uh, in the shot, So just so watching all that success, everybody, and even the guys coming after you, man, just having just kind of keeping with that tradition. You talk about South has been set in stone with the throwing school, but it seemed like that year, you guys really racked up the points, and then it kind of overall just well-rounded team to go and compete for a district title. But just see all that success with everybody around you and all the help. I mean, how was that like, especially guys like Andrew?
Well, I mean, it's not even just that one school. It's not just South. It's all a community. Like we'd go to meets and we'd go and we'd throw, and it's like we're all buddies. For example, in Edinburgh, Felix Hernandez, he's a good buddy of mine. I believe he goes to where you went to school now in Kingsville.
Okay,
George, all those guys from high school. Diego Trevino, who goes to OSU and did amazing his first year in shot through, I believe, 18 almost, or a little over 18, somewhere around there. But yeah, that entire community and all of the coaches knew us as well. So it wasn't just our coaches that were, helping us. It was the whole community. We all knew each other.
Yeah, and you talk about that track community, and you talk about just like the talents, and you mentioned where some of these throwers are going. They're going to big colleges that do well when it comes to track and field. You having competed at a very high level in the Rio Grande Valley, just what's that scene like for people who may not know about it? The throwing scene. I mean, people like to talk about sprinters and other things out on the track or whatnot, but I mean, you look at some of the people who are going to these D1 colleges, they're big time throwers, they're big time guys who came out and they threw, maybe not went to state, some of them, but sniffed it. It's a very competitive a field, and I don't think people really realize how big time it can get, especially with throwing. So I mean, just what was it like being in that whole environment, that whole community?
It was extremely competitive running up to the big meets like regionals, qualifying for the big meets like Texas relays, stuff like that. In Austin, me and Ott, I believe, qualified all 3 of our years in high school, sophomore, junior, senior. So that, I believe, is what really opened my eyes. I remember my sophomore year wasn't really that, good. I was casted, all this other stuff. It was, really the first year getting the spin down in shot. And whenever you went to those big meets, you'd see all these huge guys that are throwing like 60 plus 70 feet, like Trip Papiri from the Woodlands. I competed against him one year, and that man almost set a record at that stadium in Austin. And I was like, holy, like, I have to compete against that. But it opened your eyes a lot.
Yeah, for sure, man. And just going to that state meet, I mean, I know Andrew went that past year, but have you ever I assume you've attended a state meet, you've been there in that environment, you've seen it, and just I don't think people understand like even the bigger meets, Texas relays, things like that. People talk about football, people talk about basketball and baseball, but going to a track meet, a big time track meet, it's just as fun. And what is it about it that me from a spectator writer perspective, it's great. But actually being there as a competitor like you, how big time is it? And how do you compare it when it compares to like football or another big sport like that? Just being in that atmosphere for track.
So like football, I was just starting to get real good at it my senior year, but I decided not to attend it because I didn't want to risk injury. But I say it goes hand in hand in something like football. There's adrenaline that gets you. That first hit, the first play, of the game. And as soon as you step in that ring, your first throw, first meet, whatever it is, the adrenaline hits. And sometimes you have control, sometimes you have no control.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I mean, I just and just last thing here, just kind of comment on the competitiveness and the just of the RGV. People in track. That's one of the areas that the RGV kids that kind of succeed and stuff. Whether it be throwing or on the track running. But just talk about the competitiveness that you faced in the Valley, and and how you see it on the uptick. I mean, for the future of the track scene in the Valley, where do you see it from your perspective, from your eyes, and where do you think it can go?
I mean, all those years that I said, like those 2 years before I was a senior, along with Andrew Ott before us, they really set the bar high. I'm sure there's records that were set all across schools in the Valley our year. I believe that was the most competitive year, and I don't think the Valley's really going to see a throwing squad as powerful as those 3 to 5 years that we were there for a while. But in the upcoming, it's definitely not impossible, because there's kids out there they'll tell you, like, whoa, that guy can do something. But yeah, me and some teammates were like, man, I wonder when they're going to have another good throwing squad so I can go back and watch the meets and see how I experienced, like, hey, I was there one time, I was throwing in that ring. Yeah. But in the upcoming years, I think it'll be decent. But I believe it'll take a little more to get to a level where we all were at in the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we're competing against the same people, those guys that I mentioned. It's Ben Ruiz, he's at Sam Houston. Andrew Ott's going to UT Arlington. Diego Trevino, Felix, George, they're all already there. We're going to be competing against each other, indoor and outdoor. So it's just like old times.
For sure. It was definitely a very special crop that year, Chase, and it was a real pleasure going to cover you guys. Whether it be interviews, writing, or shooting you guys, it was definitely a pleasure. Had a lot of fun that 2018 year from a writer's perspective. So I just want to say congratulations to all the success you had, and all your future success for sure. I know you redshirted this year, but going forward, we're expecting big things from you, man. So I just want to say congratulations on everything you've accomplished, and stay safe. And also, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, and that's going to be it for our 1 p.m. show. We were able to get it in. Took 2 takes, but don't worry, we got it in. We're gonna have another show for you at 3, and then another one for you at 5. So keep it here for Real Sports Live. Make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube Live. We're on the Roku Network and Apple TV. So just go look for us, Real Sports Live, wherever you do social media. Keep it here for more Sideline Sitdown, more content, and live streaming sports coming later on this week from the Coastal Band. So tune in for that. Keep it here. Once again, Chase Harrell, appreciate you for being here with me, man, and have a good day.
Thank you.